Hey everybody, it's X, and welcome back to some more Magic Arena, and today I'll be playing another premiere draft of The Lord of the Rings, Tales of Middle-earth. Without further ado, let's get into the draft. I have never seen this card before. 4 mana for a sorcery, the Ring Tempts You. Reveal cards from the top of your library until you reveal X lands, where X is the number of legendaries you control. Put them on the battlefield tapped and the rest on bottom. So it's a 4 mana ramp card. Could ramp you a lot. It's always going to give you a Ring Bearer, so it'll give you a legendary creature. Feels like on average, even if you draft around this card, it's probably 2 lands. If you're getting 3, that's pretty wild, but you need some big stuff to ramp into with this. It doesn't seem super good for 1v1. Old Man Willow is pretty great if we want to head in the green-black direction. A lot of things we could sacrifice to this, creatures and food tokens and stuff like that, and it's just a really big creature always. It's also Smite the Deathless if I want to take a more open card and just be open to being any red deck, because it's an excellent cheap removal spell. I think I'm actually going to take Smite the Deathless there. The kind of tiebreaker there for me was the fact that I saw that Smite the Deathless was the literal only red card in that pack, so taking Smite the Deathless would be a huge signal to the left to not jump into red as a color. So let's see what we have pack 1, pick 2. We've got a Moria Marauder. Whenever a goblin or orc deals combat damage to a player, you exile the top card of your library, and you can play it this turn. It's pretty dang good with some big orc armies beating your opponent down, and it's a double striker, so if it manages to connect and hit your opponent, you get 2 cards exiled that you can play this turn. Moria Marauder seems legit if you're heavy into red and you can hit that double red, so I like that as a follow-up to Smite the Deathless, and again, we pass a very clear signal to stay out of red, only passing a Gimli's Axe, which isn't a particularly playable red card, so we could try out Moria Marauder here. Should be a fun one. Pack 1, pick 3 now. No great red cards, but Rush the Room could be a fine trick with a Moria Marauder on the board. That being said, there's some really good black cards. We have Mordor Muster, which gets your Orc Army started early, and the Torment of Gollum, which is a great way to pull a good card out of your opponent's hand and amass more on that army. So I like both of those a lot. I think I'm going to go for the cheaper card and try to keep the curve really low for now, to go with Moria Marauder, keep things as quick, as efficient as possible. But Torment of Gollum is another fantastic card. These are both spectacular. Pack 1, pick 4. Again, nothing good in red, so at least we're not passing any red signals, but we're also not getting any good red cards. Troll of Khazad-dûm is a super fine black common here. Big finisher, super hard to block this thing, and you can swamp cycle it early in the game if you need the mana. So I like the Troll of Khazad-dûm. I think it's one of the best commons in the packs. That's a perfectly reasonable pick. The best card is probably Friendly Rivalry, but I don't think that's good enough to buck me off of black here. And we're happy to still be on black, because now we have a Voracious Fellbeast, incredible finisher, and Gollum's Bite for super good cheap removal. I feel like Gollum's Bite is probably going to be better for this deck, because we're going to try to be really low curve, really aggressive, but Voracious Fellbeast is an absurd card late in the game. Make your opponent sack a creature, get a food token off of it, just swings the game pretty far in your favor. A 4/4 flyer, also a huge game ender, but we'll take the Gollum's Bite, keep things real cheap, keep that path clear, keep getting as aggressive as possible. We've got some okay combat tricks with Ambush and Gimli's Fury. Improvised Club is fine in red-black because you have some expendable cards to sacrifice. Also Swarming of Moria, though, which gives us more orcs pretty early, and treasure. Like this a lot with the Amass decks. I'm going to go for Swarming of Moria. Pack 1, pick 7, Uruk-hai Berserker. Super solid orc for the black-red archetype. We'll scoop it up. Not much competing. Breaking the Fellowship is the best card here as a decent little early game removal spell. Decent little cheap removal spell. It's not always going to kill what you want it to kill, which is kind of bad, but it's always going to kill something, so it can be okay. The Patrol's pretty good, but you've got a lot less room for 5 mana stuff. Take another Troll of Khazad-dûm. Torment of Gollum came back pretty late. Really happy to see that. Card is really good. Orcish Medicine's solid too, but the Torment of Gollum, just pulling out your opponent's best card, is always fantastic. And we got 2 of them back. I forgot there was even a second. Take this here. I like Snarling Ward too, but Torment of Gollum's just absurd. All the red cards from this pack came back because they're also pretty bad, but I guess I'll take one of them here. Try to send a message to keep out a red. Take a Black Breath here. Definitely looking for some more cheap creatures. We just have the 2/2 drops, 2/3 drops. We're really early in the draft, but more than anything, we've got a bunch of non-creature spells right now. Alright, well, I'm going to have to take another non-creature spell, because I don't think I'm supposed to take a Mordor Muster over a Smite the Deathless. Maybe. Probably not, though. I'm going to take the Smite the Deathless here. Mirkwood Bats can be good if you have a ton of token production, but it's played a little slow for my taste. It's really good in the black-white deck if you have a lot of Denethors. Those cards are pretty busted with it, but I'll take the Smite over the Battle-Scarred Goblin and the Mordor Muster and hope one of those comes back. Maybe we'll get the Battle-Scarred Goblin back by having cut red pretty hard in pack 1. I don't like Morgul Knife Wound too much, so now I'll happily take a 2-mana 2/2 Goblin. Pack 2, pick 3, very happily take a Dunland Crebain. Great Amass card to get that Orc Army going. A couple other pretty good red cards there with the discard a card, draw 2, and the big 5-mana 5/4. But we're trying to keep that curve low as much as we can. We already have 2 6-drops and I wasn't even looking for them, so keep taking 2 3-mana creatures while we can, when we can. These are all the cards I want to just cut. I just really don't want to play these 3. Not in love with any of this, but we can certainly play an Ungol Patrol. Oh, another Moria Marauder. All in, double up, let's go. I mean, we cut red enough that a double red card would be a pretty hard sell for other players, because the other red drafters at the table are probably just partially on red rather than it as a primary color like we are trying to be. Trying to have red as the main color here. Oh, Gandalf Sanction. Yeah, I guess that'll happen if nobody's in red. Take a Spearmaster probably, but Rohirrim Lancer's also pretty nice. None of those go with our Moria Marauder, but we want to get more red creatures because we want probably 2/3 of our cards to be red, and right now it's like a 50-50. Yeah, we got to get more red cards in here. We got to up the red quantity. Let's get a Lancer. It'll give us a 1-drop. I don't think there's any like Orc or Goblin 1-drops to get things going. Turn 1 onward. Yeah, I think cheap removal is just really, really good with double Moria Marauder. So I'm actually happy with how the second Smite worked out for us and how the Golem's Bite worked out for us. Because that way we get to play the Marauder turn 2. Whatever they play to block it, we just clear the path to make sure we hit them. And start playing cards off the top. So we get to play any lands that we hit off the top immediately. Any non-land cards might be just exiled forever for a little bit, but it is what it is. I like Erkenbrand a whole lot, even if I'm trying to get a lot of goblins and orcs to go with Moria Marauder. We could just be like red-black tokens in general. Play a lot of the 1/1 human producers as well as a lot of the Orc Army producers. So I'll take an Erkenbrand here. Even though I've got the double Moria Marauder. Now I'll take a Mordor Muster for a 2-mana Orc to go with the Marauder. 2-mana Orc Army. Gimli's pretty cool too, pretty strong, but doesn't hit any of our creature types. Get the Mordor Muster back or the Battle-Scarred Goblin. I'll get my 3rd Muster, even though I do want to be pretty heavy in red for the Moria Marauders. I think Mordor Muster is significantly stronger. Alright, we've got 23 cards now, so we can start cutting a card every time we draft something. Warbeast is probably fine for this deck as a late game card. Quarrel's End is also fine with like Erkenbrand. Both fine. Guess I'll just go for the auto pick there with the Warbeast. Alright, cut that. Cut that. We're at 23 cards. Pretty good looking curve here. Red versus black, still pretty even, still on like 50-50 here. Again, want to get more red. So it's really easy to run like 10 mountains, 7 swamps for the double Moria Marauder. Alright, ask and you shall receive. We'll get a Haradrim Spearmaster to get more red cards, and then we'll get the easiest Balrog pick ever, because Quarrel's End and Sam's Desperate Rescue are fine cards. But the Balrog's pretty nasty. 7-mana 7/5 haste can't be blocked except by legendary creatures, so it can often just finish the game out of nowhere. When it dies, you destroy an artifact or creature an opponent controls, so even if they kill it, you get value. And it's cheaper to cast for each card you sacrifice this turn. So if we have a couple treasure tokens on board, which I guess we don't have much treasure production, we just have the Swarming of Moria, But each treasure we use on the Balrog is like 2 mana for it, which is super sweet. Yeah, Balrog seems like a great way to try to end the game. Now we can take an improvised club here to be heavier into red, because the other option is Lash of the Balrog, which is very similar. Pretty good removal. Uruk-hai Berserker is also pretty good. Isildur's Fateful Strike is a strong card, but you need to have a legend on board to cast it. And we don't have a lot of the Ring Tempts You cards to give us extra legends. So we really just have like 2 legendaries in our deck right now, so it's really hard to cast a legendary instant. So I think I'm taking an improvised club here, upping the red count. Unless I think it'll just like definitely wheel, in which case maybe a Lash. I don't know. Go for the improvised club. Super close. There's another improvised club. Don't know if I want another one of those super early here. No 2-drops outside of another improvised club. I think Knife Wound is very good here. Trebuchet's fine. Ungol Patrol's fine. Yeah, nothing great this pack. Could take another Torment of Golem, I guess. I'm not super pumped about any of this. I'll take the Trebuchet, though. Every time we attack with an Orc Army, we can just send a boulder at our opponent's face, too. Alright, great 2-drop for the deck. Easterling Vanguard, cheap way to start amassing, because it'll amass when it dies, and it's a nice aggressive creature. It's a human to work with Urkenbrand instead of an orc to work with the Moria Marauder, but that's fine. Both of the Grey Host is pretty nice for like the black-white deck, but I don't think it's good here. Uruk-hai Captain is definitely good here. 2 mana, 2/2 Orc Soldier with Menace, so it's a good orc to be able to connect with pretty easily, and we get additional +1/+1 counters every time we're amassing. Great card for us there. Speaking of great cards, Dunlin Crebain. There's a lot of improvised clubs, so if we want more copies, we are pretty likely to get them. Get some of them to come back to us. Snarling Warg is fine. Flamesmith's fine. I don't think I'm going to run that many instants and sorceries, though, for this deck. I like our other 2-drops better. Take a Warg. Grimo Wormtongue. Probably doesn't make the cut. Oh, another Easterling Vanguard definitely does. I'll take the Vanguard here. Take a Desperate Rescue. Really cheap way to pick up a creature from grave. I like it. Alright, we got the Lash of the Balrog back, and the Uruk-hai Berserker, and the Orcish Medicine. Lots of good 3s. We'll take a Lash. I want more late game removal. Whatever I take here is going to be redundant. It's just going to be another option for swapping things out. We've got more than a deck here. We have tons of great options. Another Torment of Golem. Definitely don't need more mediocre removal options. We've got plenty of that. 2 Smites, Improvised Club, Breaking of the Fellowship, and Golem's Bite, and Lash of the Balrog. Yeah, that is plenty. There's no way I'm going to end up playing a Morgul Knife Wound. I might play a Breaking of the Fellowship. I might play a Lancer. I feel like Breaking of the Fellowship's a little more likely, because I might be dropping down on the Urkenbrand theme since we didn't manage to pick up any of the cards that make multiple humans off one card. There's a 2-mana card that makes 2 1/1 humans and gives all your humans haste. That's like the real combo with Urkenbrand. We didn't pick up any copies of that, so I might just be off of humans in general and really focusing up on entirely orcs and goblins outside of our very good cards and our humans that make orcs, like the Easterling Vanguard. So I could see dropping Urkenbrand, dropping the Rohirrim Lancer, just running like triple Torment of Golem at 4 mana instead of Urkenbrand stuff. I think that's pretty reasonable to me. I think we'll do that. So drop a Rohirrim Lancer, drop an Urkenbrand, drop some of our more narrow non-creature cards. They can be very good in the right matchup, but I'm going to drop the triple Black Breath. I think I want to try to cut out mostly black cards here, although we need to check our creature and non-creature count as well. Oh no, we have so much more black than red. So we're at 17 creatures, 15 non-creatures, so we've got a lot of amassing in the non-creatures though, so we need to take that into account. 17 creatures plus 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 more creatures. So we cut 7 in terms of like creatures and amass cards to be at the 17 creature count. That's pretty reasonable. I really like all of our 3 mana cards. feel like Trebuchet and Swarming of Moria are the weakest of them. They're still good cards, but they're the weakest ones. We have so much amassing going on. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Maybe cut some high mana cards. Also a few of the non-creatures, like we have Improvised Club, Double Smite the Deathless, Lash of the Balrog, and Golem's Bite, even if I drop Double Breaking of the Fellowship, and all of those other cards we can target whatever we want. Even if there might be something too big to kill, we get to choose anything, where with Breaking of the Fellowship we have to choose something smaller than their biggest creature, basically. So I'm going to cut the Double Breaking of the Fellowship, but that's cutting more red cards when I'm trying to cut black cards. Oh no, the Moria Marauders. The restrictive mana cost. Gonna be sketchy for sure. I guess I could cut I could cut a Trebuchet and then cut a Warg. Cut a Cirith Ungol Patrol. Then I also have 2 Troll of Khazad-dûm for 2 Swamp Cyclers. So then, even though I technically have more black cards than red cards, I also have 2 Swamp Cyclers to help. So I could do something like a 10-7 split. And then it's kind of like a 10-9 split. I still need to cut 3 more cards, though. I could cut a land, but I don't love being at less than like 10 red sources to try to get the Marauders down turn 2 every game that we draw them. I also really don't like the idea of being at 6 black sources, so I don't think I want to cut any lands, not because of how much mana we need to hit, but because we need to hit specific colors often. Triple Mortar Muster might be a little bit much. Could drop 1 of those and 1 Torment here. 1 more card to cut. What's the creature count at here? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18. We're good. We can cut 1 of whatever we want. Technically, though, we have 4 creatures in this deck that are just Amass spells. So the realistic creature count is 14 for cards like Sam's Desperate Rescue, but that's 14 with like 2 land cyclers that we could land cycle and then pick up with the rescue, which is pretty good. Yeah. So Lash of the Balrog, kind of like a 5-drop. Golem's Bite, also kind of a later game removal spell. Probably turn 3 on average is where we want to throw that out there and play a 2-drop. But then Desperate Rescue is also kind of like a 5-drop we play when we're out of other stuff to do. So we don't actually need the black mana super early, so I don't have to feel as bad about the 10-7 split here. I could just cut the War Beast and just have a really just lopsided curve. Bunch of 2s, 3s, and then a few big endgame cards. Get rid of the late game starter there. I feel like this card plays so much better than it looks, though, because if you get your Orc Army to where it's a 4-4, then it just dies and turns into a 2-2, which is absurd. And I think this is a deck that can make our Orc Army a 4-4. We have 2 Kerbanes for Amass 2, 2 Torment of Golem for Amass 2, 2 Mortar Muster for Amass 1, 2 Easterling Vanguard for Amass 1. I want to try out the War Beast here. I think this is a deck that could do the 4-4 Orc Army becomes a 2-2 Orc Army kind of thing, which is wild. I'm just going to run a 41 card special. Just to be a little lazy here. I just can't decide. Can't decide between all of my beautiful children. We're going to play every single one of these cards and call it a deck there. Alright, here's a look at our final deck list for today. This is a red-black Goblins and Orcs deck. We've got a couple Moria Marauders here, which are going to be able to let us draw extra cards as we deal combat damage to our opponents with Goblins and Orcs. So we have a lot of ways to produce Orc armies, as you tend to have in black-red, and we're playing a little bit more Goblins than usual with just 1 Battle-Scarred Goblin. So a nice aggressive curve, tons of great efficient creatures that can amass armies as well. Use those Orc armies primarily to try to close out the game, make them pretty big, get some damage in with those. Tons of cheap removal to try to clear the path to get these Moria Marauders and our other Goblins and Orcs to deal damage. We've got Golem's Bite, Double Smite the Deathless. We've also got an improvised club and a Lash of the Balrog for bigger creatures later. And some other good interaction with cards like Torment of Golem to pull a card out of our opponent's hand. Looks like just a super sweet aggressive deck today. Very excited to see how it does as we head into the gameplay. Here we are for game 1. Our opponent is on the play. Hopefully did not draw into a Red Eyes Black Dragon. That would be a big deal. But we've got a turn 2 Mortar Muster into a turn 3 Dunland Crebain, which is pretty sweet. So we've got a nice cheap curve here. We've even got a Golem's Bite if they play a creature on turn 2 for us to eliminate. Give Golem a nice healthy snack to start the game off. Alright, nothing turn 2. We'll drop a Mortar Muster then. They are on blue-white. Blue-white has a lot of cards that care about drawing 2 cards in one turn, a lot of cards that can tempt the ring and stuff, and good amount of instants, so they might just counter our Crebain, but it's not like we have another option for what to play here. We've drawn a lot of mana. Alright. Dunland Crebain resolves. They do not have the 2 mana counter a creature spell. They could have... okay. Apparently Joey just did not have the heart of the cards that game. That was not really a game of Magic. They did not get to play any spells, so I guess we'll start things off with a free win, 1-0, as we head into game 2. Alright, here we are for game number 2. I can Swamp Cycle the Troll of Khazad-dûm, and then this is a 4-lander, one of which is a black source, which is a little high on mana, but I think it's reasonable. That means we have both our colors. And we've got some plays. I don't know if I want to immediately Swamp Cycle this. I think I'll try to do it on turn 3. Because if I draw another 2-drop, I can still Swamp Cycle and play a 2-drop on turn 3. And this way, if I draw into a swamp, then I don't have to Swamp Cycle the Troll. Because I really would rather not start the game with 5 lands in hand. So if we find a swamp naturally, then not having to Swamp Cycle would be good. Looks like we're probably going to have to, though, because I don't have a turn 3 play, and I won't have a turn 4 play without a swamp, so let's cycle the troll and play the swamp this turn. That way I get the cycling out of the way and have the improvised club held up. I could play the mountain as well and just be mono red and then swamp cycle during their end step, still hold up the improvised club. But this is fine too. We did draw into a Balrog, so we've got a huge finisher. None of their creatures on board can block this at all. So the Balrog, while we might be flooding a little bit, can still close out a game kind of by itself. So that should be interesting. Got a Spearmaster now we've drawn into. I think I'd rather torment them, make sure they don't have anything great in hand. Elven Farsight, Stew the Conies. That's not a lot of stuff. I'll get rid of the Stew the Conies because it's a removal spell and a way for them to get a food token for the Watchdogs, so now they just have the Farsight. So they have 1 card draw spell, that's it. How does this work? 1 to each creature blocking it, so it'd kill both creatures. I think, no, it would only kill 1 creature still. I'll pass. They could double block, and then I get to choose whichever creature I want to trade into, and be a trade there. There's an Elven Farsight. Scry 3. If they find a creature on top, they draw a card. If they don't find a creature in the top 3, then Elven Farsight plays really poorly. Just 1 mana to scry 3 and do nothing. They do find a creature. They get another Lothlorien Lookout for some more scrying. They run that out. Pass the turn. So this is our 5th land this turn. We need 2 more mana to play the Balrog, and we stopped drawing lands now that we drew the 7-drop. I think I got a little too worried early on, and now Arena's trying to be nice to me. I'm like, okay, we'll stop giving you lands. It's like, wait, no, now I want them. I changed my mind. Make a 4/4 Orc Army here, and then they kill it off of like blocking with their whole board, but then I could like club in response and go pretty wild off that. They're not going to have like a 2 mana instant here most likely. There's 1 card we don't know of. I guess they have something, probably, but can't think of anything that would be super bad for me. Yeah, we're going to improvised club here and kill a lookout as well. I guess if they have the +1/+1 hexproof trick, that's pretty bad. But it would have to have been what they top decked last turn, because we saw everything else in their hand. Cool. No trick. Just clear out some of the board. Ooh, Troll of Khazad-dûm. That is quite spooky. 1 mana away from the Balrog, and we'll probably outrace the Troll with the Balrog. But that's only if I hit another land. If we don't hit another land, we're going to die to this Troll. They're also 1 mana away from using the Pathfinder to get extra damage, and we didn't draw land. We have a Sam's Desperate Rescue, though. Gives us a Crebain or our own Troll, but if I pick up the Troll, I don't get to play anything. I actually only have 1 black source, so whatever I pick up, I don't get to play this turn. That's really, really bad. We might be getting outraced by this Troll unless I triple block. And that also seems bad, because if they play a land, +3/+3 trample means triple block. They kill everything. 9 damage, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Not quite. I could Desperate Rescue the Troll and then Swamp Cycle it to guarantee the Balrog next turn, which feels extra weird, but maybe that's where we're at. Yeah, I can't trump block the Troll anyway, so make this like a 3/2 and send both these in. It's maybe reasonable. Try to outrace them here. I probably should have buffed the Spearmaster, because technically the Goblin can already trade up into the Lookout, so I probably should have sent everybody in. So there's 7 unblockable damage next turn. We just need to find a way to get 3 more damage in. And currently we can definitely get 3 more damage in, so let's Swamp Cycle and guarantee the Balrog. Alright, fingers crossed. Let's go. Go team, go. Oh, the Spearmaster can't buff itself. Alright, then I don't feel bad about our earlier line. It would have been a misplay if the Spearmaster could buff itself, but I probably should have attacked with the Spearmaster anyway. They have the trick to win. We get the nice. They do not have the trick to win. It would have had to been like a removal spell that keeps their Pathfinder on board, because it has to be 1 card in hand, so it would have to be something crazy where they get to blow up the Balrog and the Pathfinder doesn't die. Ooh, you know what they could have had? They could have had the indestructible trick that amasses 1, then they make Pathfinder indestructible, amass 1, get an indestructible block on our 4/4 and have a 1/1 block the 3/2. They take 9 damage total, then they crack back for lethal because they still have the Pathfinder on board next turn to buff the Troll. So they had potential outs there, but we got pretty lucky there. They didn't draw into anything great, so we do finish them off with the Balrog. And I think some of our lines were incorrect in terms of the way I was thinking about the game, but because the Spearmaster couldn't have done the line that would have been better anyway, actually I think they were fine. They were fine. The lines that I thought of that would have been better could not have panned out. I still should have probably attacked with it, but I couldn't have it buff itself. Alright, we're on the play here. Turn 2 Mordor Muster. We've got the Troll if we need more land. I'm into it. I'm not gonna cycle it just yet, because if we hit 1 land by turn 4, we're doing great. That should be pretty easy to do. We're drawing an extra card off Mordor Muster and everything. Yep. There's the 4th land, so now we know we're making it all the way up to the Torment of Gollum. Plenty of castable spells. Don't need to turn this into a land. We can keep it as a Troll. Meriadoc Brandybuck. Moria Marauder. 1 red source. Could kill Meriadoc, but I think I'm cool to just jam in with the big army. Make it even bigger next turn and try to rip out any removal from their hand with the Torment of Gollum. I don't think green-white has any removal that would work at this point in the game. At least not at common. There's like the one pacifism would work, but outside of that it would have to be like the uncommon Shire Sheriff or something. Sacks a card and exiles something. Okay, they do not have that. They've got a 4-2, but we can make our army a 5-5. That's a lot of cards. They've got a Hobbit Sting as their only removal spell. They've got a 5-drop I don't care too much about. Fall of Gilgalad's pretty strong, but kind of slow. And they'll put this on board. We know when the counters are coming. We can hold up Smite the Deathless in response to the counters. East Farthing Farmer does hit for a good amount of damage. Hobbit Sting is 3 damage right now. I feel like I'm probably supposed to get rid of the Hobbit's Sting. If I get rid of the Farmer, they don't have Great Lines next turn. They have to play the Fall or the Sting on like my 1/1. I think I get rid of the Farmer here, weirdly enough. I just think that's their best line next turn, so I'm going to try to keep them off that. Sting is going to be 4 damage next turn. Unless they draw another Plains exactly. If they hit exactly Plains, they can play the Reaper and the Sting, and that goes badly. Maybe I should have played the... got rid of the Sting just in case they top deck Plains, but that can't be that likely. They probably have, what, 7 Plains left in the deck? Out of 30 cards? It's a real chance. Alright, Took Reaper is the play. Setting up for later Hobbit Sting. Oh god. That's a super bad draw. Basically the only uncastable card left in the deck. Except for the Balrog, but I've got 2 more swamps for that if I cycle these trolls. Well, I mean, it's probably just what happens to us if we draw double Moria Marauder. I don't think we're gonna get there. I guess I can Smite the Reaper, which gets them 1 creature lower for Hobbit Sting to only be 4 damage, but then when they attack, Meriadoc makes another food and they have 5, and then the Sting can kill the army. Yeah, I mean... they just outrace us here now, because the army's a dead meat. Maybe they'll get greedy and go for the Hobbit Sting when they don't have enough cards, and then a Smite in response stops it from happening. Could be a thing. Alright, I need to make sure I play a land for turn, so let's Swamp Cycle one of these now. We gotta get really lucky that here they have to play very poorly. They hit another land, so they get to play the Fall and the Sting, and they are not playing poorly. They are making sure they have 6 permanents out when they try to Hobbit Sting. Again, if I tried to Smite the Meriadoc before they attacked, they could Sting in response. Fall of Gilgalad. Should I cycle this troll? If I draw land next turn, it doesn't really matter if I play a troll because I'm still just going to die. They have 9 life worth of food. Should probably cycle the troll, just so I'm less likely to just top deck a swamp here. Because if I get to the point where I'm casting the troll, I'm already losing the game. We just have to draw into something that somehow kills them immediately, basically. Battle-Scarred Goblin does not do that. Alright. This game could have gone differently. Maybe if we just smited the Meriadoc very early before they started getting all the food for the Hobbit Sting. Could have been better. Like a Smite on Meriadoc early game and then maybe make them discard the Sting instead of the Farmer would have been better. Keep the Orc more easily. They have enough creatures though that we definitely wouldn't be killing them by now. We just wouldn't be dying as fast. But then their Fall of Gilgalad gets to pop off. The Horn comes down soon. I don't know. Game could have gone much differently. I think all the lines I took this game panned out pretty poorly, so I don't think we played this out well. But there's no telling if we could have found a victory here. Could have made it a longer game, though. Could have made it a longer game than it ended up being. I think I need to just smite whatever they try to put +1/+1 counters on at this point, since smite isn't going to stop Hobbit Sting. Yep. They sting our 5/5. We've got a blocker for the Took Reaper, but nothing for Meriadoc. Send in Mary for 2. We are down to 3. They have 2 copies of Fall of Gilgalad. Seems strong. Well, if they had 2 copies of that, I don't know how much we could have done. Because we could have made the game longer, but then those Fall of Gilgalads just pop off even more. Gotta be very far in the Trump zone now. Actually, we would just die, because they get to buff one up and have it fight with the other Fall of Gilgalad. So I have to chump block the bigger card and take 2 from the other one. I guess that's not just dead yet. Oh, they spread them out to get the draw 2 trigger. Okay. Alright, well, that's definitely a game. Well, that game, there were definitely things we could have done to play things out better. I think I needed to respect Meriadoc as a bigger threat early in that game and try to clear it out before it made, like, any food. Would have made their Hobbit Stings significantly worse, even if we let them keep it. There's also the line of potentially choosing to get rid of the Hobbit Sting instead to make it harder for them to deal with our Orc Army and try to just ride that to victory. So maybe some different lines where we shoot Meriadoc early and make them discard Hobbit Sting. Or if we shoot Meriadoc early, we might not even need to get rid of the Hobbit Sting because they wouldn't have any food really adding to that count, which was the really good part. So those were the things we definitely could have done differently. Again, I'm not sure we could have even gotten a victory out of that one because it would have made the game last quite a bit longer, which is looking like would be in our opponent's favor here with double Fall of Gilgalad, which is pretty wild, but there were some things outside of our control that could have gone a lot better that game as well, such as like drawing more than one mountain with double Moria Marauder, or at least not drawing the Moria Marauders when we've drawn one mountain 15 cards deep, so bit of unluckiness, bit of some misplays there. Don't think we could have gotten a win there, but we certainly could have gotten closer. 2-1 it'll be as we head into Game 4. Here we are now for Game 4 on the play. We are consistently drawing a lot more swamps than mountains, which is really confusing. Yeah, I have 9 mountains left in my deck and 5 swamps. Alright, it happens. RNG is a thing. We don't have any of our double red cards in hand this game, so probably not the biggest deal, but I've been noticing, I think it's been multiple games we've just had like one mountain now. Yeah, what is going on with the shuffler here? 3 swamp, 1 mountain for our first 4 lands drawn when we have 3 more mountains than swamps in the deck. Not a big deal this game. We don't need double red, but it is super weird and not very cool. I don't think I want to turn this into a ring bearer just for it to trade off, so I'm going to attack first and see if it trades off, and then if it does, we'll turn the army into the ring bearer. Cool. So I don't really want to make a 3-2 ring bearer, I think. Well, 1-1 army being a ring bearer is better. If they play more 2-2s, then they just can't block the 1-1, which is nice. Palantir of Orthanc. That is really good on turn 3. Because we let them draw a card or we mill and then take damage equal to the mana value of everything milled. So we're going to let them mill first. I'll lose life and mill them. So right now it's just a land, so it doesn't do anything, but the longer it goes on, the more counters it gets. They'll mill more and more cards to deal more and more damage to us. Now I'm pretty fine with it here because it means they're not playing any creatures onto the board turn 3, so we can get aggressive and try to outrace it. But this is the scariest time to play it because that means it's going to stack up those counters as much as possible so that the mill gets really, really big. So eventually we will have to let them start drawing cards, but we are very far in the aggressive position here where our life total doesn't matter that much, so I'm just going to keep taking damage for a long time. Alright, take 6, sure. Could improvise club in the end step, but there's nothing to kill here, we'll just be shooting the face. All removal against 0 creatures is pretty awkward. Hopefully their hand is not all removal, because then we're not likely to win this game. If they have 3 different removal spells, they can 1-for-1 here. Then we're just going to die to the orb. Alright, that's sort of a creature. I can go ahead and Golem's Bite that now, so that I can have the ring tempt us again. So we can get the ring bearer up to level 2. So we can draw a card, discard a card every turn. Big creature? Heck yes, big creature. Happy to see it. Now I can do something with my removal. Improvise club, sack, and vanguard, I guess. Let's take some damage here. We're at 14 right now. Big damage, let's go. Land, 2-drop. Oh, I'll just take 2 damage. Ooh, they get to draw another card off Council's Deliberation. That's really good with the Palantir that mills it. Ooh, Moria Marauder. I don't... if I play the Marauder, because I only have 2 mountains, if I had 3 mountains and 2 swamps, which would be much more statistically likely, I could play Marauder and club the Rangers. Feel like it's better to club the Rangers. This triggers when I declare the attack, so I'm going to full control so that I can attack, draw, discard, then kill the Rangers after I see what I draw into. Draw another swamp. Alright, discard that. Club the Rangers. Sack the Vanguard. Hit for 5, they're down to 8. I've still got a smite up if they play another blocker. Well. That's really, really bad. I can still hit them for 2 a turn. That's massive, and they get food every time they kill something. Hits us for 8, so if it hits us 1 time, we're going to die. And I have to start letting them draw cards to the orb now, because it's at 4. So if they hit 3, 4 drops, we're dead. If they hit 4, 3 drops, we're dead. Those aren't super likely, but if they scry 2 to the top, probably 2 spells. Which makes the odds of the next 2 being something that could kill us pretty likely. Yeah, that spider demon is aptly creature typed. That is a nightmare. I guess there is a nightmare creature type in the game, so not quite, but demon is certainly accurate. Torments of Golem. That rips a card out of their hand and makes the Orc Army kill them in 2 swings? Gandalf could block our Orc Army, and we can't kill it with removal. Bag End Porter could also block our Orc Army, and we can't kill it with removal. So it doesn't really matter what I choose here. Guess I'll get rid of the flash card and make them play kind of hands up. Menace creatures, pretty good. I don't think it's going to outrace the big spider, especially when they're drawing an extra card every turn, but mayhaps. I think I keep the smite in case I draw another burn spell of some kind. We could stack 2 up to win the game. If I draw into another smite, we double smite here. There is another smite in our deck. Ah, nice draw. Would have gotten rid of that if it was in their hand before their literal top deck here. At least they're not attacking us, but they are pretty stable at this point. And we have to let them keep drawing a card every turn. So you just have Scry 2 draw a card each end step. Top deck lands pretty bad. We'll play our captain and pass the turn. Now this game's over. I might as well exile this thing while I have the mana up. Even if I draw into a Balrog, it doesn't get past the spider. If I draw my Lash of the Balrog, I can kill it. I'd have to sack a creature to do it, though. And they get to force a chump block here, which means we give them another food to be at 5,000 life. Oh, what a bummer game. Opponent's deck just a little too explosive with Orb into Spider. I'll go out my own terms here. Take like 50 damage. We do not have any outs. Alright, this time we'll have double red on turn 2. Which means I'm not going to draw into my double red card. I'm still going to play the mountain first rather than the swamp. Just in case I draw into it. Don't think I'll need to Golem's Bite whatever they play immediately, and if I do need to Golem's Bite it, I can still play the swamp and Golem's Bite it next turn. Yeah, it's just a 2-1. I don't need to kill that. Alright, well, we didn't draw... We've got double red on turn 2, so we didn't draw the Moria Marauders this game. Just is how it is. At least I don't need to Swamp Cycle the Troll of Khazad-dûm, because we've got 5 lands already. Birthday Escape. Draw a card, make the Nimmerdell Watcher their Ring Bearer. If the ring tempts them again, I think I'll kill this so they don't get to draw a card, discard a card. The ring is not going to tempt them again. I might still kill it, because I know I'm going to spend 3 mana turn 3 on Crebain, so I won't have mana for the Golem's Bite again until turn 4. I guess I'm still not going to, because the Crebain is a 1/1 which can block and kill it as a ring bearer anyway. Well, if they play a second copy, then sure. We'll kill that one, and then use the Crebain to kill the other copy. That's fine. Alright, well, we're hitting a lot of mana. We have 6 mana at the ready. We do not need to draw any more lands. We'll be able to play our Troll of Khazad-dûm. There's a Lembas for our opponent to scry 1, draw a card. Which means Nimrodel Watcher is unblockable. And they have some food to eat. Some Mordor Muster here, see what we draw into. Sam's Desperate Rescue. That doesn't do anything right now, but I could cycle the Troll and cast it. Is that worth it? It would give us a second black source, which could be useful. Don't think it's necessary, though. I can just play a Gorgoroth next turn and be perfectly happy. Alright. The Watcher can't attack in unless they scry again, so I'm going to hold the Crebain back to keep it from getting in. Unless they scry. Lorien revealed. They're going to draw 3. Seems fine. No attacks. Thanks to Crebain. We draw into another Crebain. I think I would rather War Beast of Gorgoroth. Just play some beef while they're tapped out. I would be really happy if my Orc Army was a 4/4. That way if they killed the army, we'd get a 2/2 army. But this is fine too. Another Lembas. Get the scry 1, draw 1. Hit us for 3 with the Nimrodel Watcher. They've got a deck plan. They've got a strategy. Unblockable Nimrodel Watchers and plenty of food to gain life. Second black source. Means I can Desperate Rescue and play a black spell. Post-combat if we need to. I'm just going to attack with everybody and see what tricks they have. They're going to tap the 5/4, scry 1 and draw a card. Attack for 4. Get in for 4. Let's see if they have the 2-mana counterspell. I would hope not. But I'm still going to play the Giant Troll, regardless. Alright, they don't have the counterspell, just gain some life. Fall of Gil-galad scries again, so that Nimrodel Watcher is unblockable again. Alright. We get on to 8 here. Deaden 3 more swings. Turn one of these things into a ring bearer in case they have like the 3-mana 3/2 flash creature. That's kind of okay, but I think I'd rather have Desperate Rescue up rather than just playing around one specific thing. I should have played Crebain pre-combat. That was loose. Get the extra 2 damage in. Yeah, Isolation, the big boy. That was super loose, yeah. If we lose this game by 2 damage, that was my bad. Just blanked on that entirely. 2 counters on the Watcher. I guess it kills us in 2 swings. I forgot about the +1/+1. There's Lembas for unblockability. They might win this game by like 2 life. Or the massive punt to end it. Because they're at basically 9 life right now. I do still have lethal on board. They need another trick like Isolation of Orthanc. Tap a creature, scry 1, draw a card here. Stew the Conies, deal damage and get a food. Kill the War Beast, make our army... Oh no, did they misplay? They forget about that ability? Well, when I saw them do that, I thought they were gonna like have the 2-mana tap a creature, scry 1, and then we were doomed even if I did get the Crebain down last turn, but it looks like our opponent reverse misplayed us probably. Right, because if they shot down the Orc Army, sure we would get another Orc Army, They couldn't make the Nimrodel Watcher have more power. It was only going to be 4 damage, so it's not a misplay. They just couldn't do anything about it because they could only kill the Warbeast. They couldn't kill the 5/5 with their 4 power creature. So they kill the Warbeast. We get 2 more power. That's 7, 8, 9 damage. They're at exactly 9 life. So it's exact lethal. All right. That was really loose. We need to start playing Dunlin Crebanes pre-combat every time. So used to playing things post-combat to give my opponent as little information as possible and make it so they might try to play around combat tricks that aren't there, but we really should be playing Dunlin Crebanes pre-combat to get the extra counters on the Orc Army and get the extra damage in, because that was closer than it needed to be. Luckily for us, Warbeast of Gorgroth has a great death trigger to help us win, even through the Stew the Conies. Incredibly close game. Almost punted it away, but we'll still get there in the end. We are 3-2 now, guaranteeing at least 1,000 gems out of the event, but we're 1 win away from the break-even point. Trying to get at least 4 wins. Get all of our gems back. Another hand, another weirdly high amount of swamps versus mountains. This is also all interaction until turn 5, so this is just a flat mulligan. Alright, there we go. Those are the counts we want. It's probably very greedy to keep the Balrog, but I'm a greedy Gus, I don't know what to tell you. Another land, only 3 mana away from the Balrog. 3 land draws away, that is. Took Reaper turn 2. I'm pretty fine trading off our death trigger creatures. They get a Temptation of the Ring. We get an Orc Army. Fair deal. It's free real estate. Bilbo Retired Burglar, turn 3 off of no blue or red sources, just a Great Hall of the Citadel. Seems pretty good. Luckily for us, Crebane's going to make our Orc a 3/3 so we can just slam in right past the Bilbo. Unluckily for us, Bilbo's a really good Ring Bearer. Because of the 1/3 status, super hard to get a creature on board that can just like block Bilbo and stop him from making treasures. You have to have your own, like, 1/3 body. Ooh, give Bilbo double strike to get 2 treasures this turn? In a deck with Great Hall of the Citadel to splash in a bunch of legends, those treasure tokens are going to be very valuable. Wish we had some removal in this hand. We've got a good amount of removal in the deck, and it would all be incredible against Bilbo here, like the 3 damage and exile. But no interaction here means they do just get to combo off with a pretty disgusting start to the game. Bilbo into Theoden. And a lot of the legends are humans, so probably follow it up giving Bilbo double strike again. Also does look like white and red are the core colors of the deck, which are the colors with the most humans for aggro stuff with Theoden. There's a Goblin Fire Leaper for now. There's the Smite the Deathless, 1 turn too late. Didn't get to stop Bilbo from popping off for a turn, but we can stop Bilbo from doing anything next turn. Could attack in with the Orc Army, they could double block. I could respond by smiting, but then they get to keep Bilbo. Feel like they probably won't want to double block here. But I could also just hold blocks back with the Orc Army. It's not terrible. We do want to try to make this game last long. We want to try to get to 7 mana. But there's certainly an argument for just smiting the Theoden anyway. And I feel like they won't block, because they probably don't want to lose Theoden. Let's just send in the squad. They could chump with the Fire Leaper and shoot the Crebain. But no blocks is the play. Drop the Vanguard, play the land, have the smite for Bilbo. And if they try to cast something like an Eomer that's like a 5/4 haste and spits out 1/1 humans, then we'll probably have to kill Theoden, but anything else will probably kill Bilbo. Alright, they draw a card. I can't stop that because I can't kill both of their legends. They're going to give Bilbo double strike again, then we're definitely clearing out Bilbo here, because hopefully they're relying on some of this treasure mana this turn. Alright, they're going to combat, so let's try to kill Bilbo before they draw a card, discard a card. Cool. Oh, when it leaves the battlefield for any reason, the Ring Tempts You? Well, I guess they still get to draw a card, discard a card then, but stop the treasure tokens at least. That's kind of a bummer. I was not aware that Bilbo does it when it leaves for any reason instead of just when Bilbo dies. That is really good. Well, I guess I should have waited till post-combat then, because they were going to get their draw a card, discard a card no matter what. We're racing now. We'll take 3, go to 15. Ready to crack back with everybody. Torment of Gollum is a solid draw. It's going to make our Orc Army too big for the Errand Rider to trade with, and we are going to get rid of whatever their best play is. Oh. So we lose. They can wipe the whole board, or they can wipe our board. I mean, we get rid of Fear Fire Foes, but then they can still just wipe the whole board and follow up with an Aragorn? X to each creature. They could even play the Banditry on 1, and they only lose 1 creature, we lose 2. I mean, Fear Fire Foes is worse for us, because they can just play it, kill our Orc Army and both of our other creatures and not lose anything. Aragorn's also bad for us if the ring tempts them. If the ring doesn't tempt them, it's just a 3/3, so... Fear Fire Foes is the pick. Not happy to see those cards. I guess they actually need double red for the Spiteful Banditry, and they don't have it right now. They have 1 red. So they have to crack the Shire Terrace in the future, which they can't do right now. They can play the Aragorn. And they can play the Fear Fire Foes off the treasure. So I still think Fear Fire Foes was the best pick there. Take 6 on the crackback. Don't think I'm chumping with Crebain. I think we do send in with everybody here. Alright, they'll trade into the Vanguard. Go down to 7. Our Orc Army is 6 power. Not quite big enough to kill them in one swing, but close. I think I was too greedy with this Balrog. If we lose the game, it's probably because I got greedy with Balrog. If this were like any other spell, anything that costs 4 or less, it would obviously be better. Who knows, maybe the game will last long enough we make it to 7 mana, but I feel like if it does, it's probably bad for us, because that means I'm going to have to draw like 3 lands in a row here. Doesn't really help me close out the game, which would be better. Just drawing some more removal or something to get our Orc Army through. Send in a Fire Leaper, draw a card and discard a card. Play a blue source. They are just straight up 5-color legends here. Use the Shire Terrace to get the mana for the Spite thingy. And then play the Aragorn. Or don't play the Aragorn because they try to get up to enough mana to kill the army. Alright. I don't know if I want to play my 2/2 against this. X to each creature. One of my creatures dies, they get a treasure. I mean, if they top deck a land, they go red, red, and 4, which is still not enough to kill the Orc Army, so I don't even think they'll do it anyway. We just attack both. I don't know why they didn't play Aragorn. Oh, they can buff the Fire Leaper and then use it, maybe? Maybe. We can do the math on that. No, it doesn't make any sense. I mean, Fire Leaper is going to add 1 to the damage that they do, and that's it. So if they top deck a land, they go Mountain, Red Source, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, if they do top deck a land, that's 5 damage to this, and the Fire Leaper does 1 extra damage to it. And that's kind of their only out. So in case they top deck a land, we don't play the Battlecry Goblin. Right, because it'll be double red and 5, which is 5 damage to this, and the Fire Leaper deals 1 to it. So pass turn, hope they don't top deck a land, but in case they do, we still have plays if I don't roll out this Battlecry Goblin. Battle Scarred Goblin, I should say. Now they could play Aragorn and buff the Fire Leaper on blocks. Alright, draw, discard a card, gives them 1 more opportunity to hit a land. They're thinking this much, then I would assume they didn't hit a land. I think if it was a land, it would just be snap keep. Discard. Well, I guess even if it is a land, they have to choose what they want to discard between Aragorn and whatever else we don't know about. Yeah, they very well could have drawn a land here. They would know what they want to keep immediately, but what they want to discard is a different story. They want to keep the land, and they want to keep the spiteful banditry. Alright, get rid of an Éomer, Marshal of Rohan. Yeah, so they just had to just choose what they wanted to get rid of between Aragorn and Éomer. Here comes Spiteful Banditry. Blow up the whole board, and they get another treasure. And then they'll be playing an Aragorn on us in the future. One land away from the Balrog, just killing them in 1 hit. The Battle-Scarred Goblin's big enough to send in against Aragorn. We are both playing off the top here. We'll see how it goes. There's the Aragorn. What did they hit off the top? Removal spell for the Goblin off the top. Pretty good. Okay. Don't hit a land off the top, but the Troll of Khazad-dûm's a good draw, and it's worth playing that instead of a land because they need 3 creatures to block that. There's the GG from our opponent. They just play a Took Reaper, and that's going to finish it off. Troll of Khazad-dûm just cannot be blocked here. We have done it! I believe we are now 4-2. At least breaking even in terms of gems out of the event. Great place to be. Game 7, let's go. We're on the play. We've got 3 black sources and a red source. No turn 2 play, but I think I still keep this. Got a very good late game. Play the mountain first. Pass the turn. Nothing yet. Draw for turn. No turn 2 plays, unfortunately. But we do have double red if we hit those double strikers. Dúnedain Blade. Right? I know I'm making it to 4 mana for Torment of Golem, so I'm still not going to Swamp Cycle yet. Yeah, we're hitting a lot of lands. There's land number 5. Don't think we'll need to cycle the Troll then. See what our opponent's turn 3 play is. The Nazgul, a 2/3 Death Touch. That stacks up really profitably against our 2/3, because they just eat it up without losing a creature. That's not good. It's not good for us at all. Torment of Golem. What have you got? A Denethor and a bunch of lands. Okay. We might be okay. They're 100% playing off the top here. Just put a blade on a Nazgul and we start racing. Or put a blade on a Nazgul and hold it as a blocker. Okay. I like our odds. They're playing off the top and we've got a great 5-drop into a great 6-drop. Send in the Nazgul. I'll take 4. Faramir Field Commander. So they wanted it to die so they could draw a card. Got a 5/4. Would have loved to have the smite up there, but this is fine. We can still offer a trade into the 5/4 with our 5/4. We can make it a 6/4 and then play a troll. Play a troll, that's big damage, big money. And even if it dies to removal, the War Beast of Gorgoroth makes sure we amass and make our army bigger. If it doesn't die to removal, it kills them in 2 swings, 7 damage each time with the Spearmaster. Yeah, they're over it. Just drew a little too many lands there, and we had the big beef in the end game, so we are going to be 5-2 heading into game number 8. Here we are on the play for game 8, and we've done it! Turn 2, Moria, Marauder, mana established. Will it matter, or will it just die to a cheap removal spell anyway? We'll find out. If I draw a cheap removal spell to follow it up with, that'll be so beautiful. I could also Mortar Muster first and then play it and get like try to find the kill there. I'm just gonna run it out here. I'm too excited about being able to actually play it on turn 2. Golem? It can get past a Golem. Let's go. Come on. Alright, they just chomp. Fair. Well, it killed a Golem. That's already some work done, even if it gets killed by removal. It has dealt with one of their cards. Drop a Mordor Muster then, which is another Orc, which is great with the Marauder. And now we have a Sam's Desperate Rescue to pick up the Moria Marauder if it dies. Nazgul. There's the blocker for the Moria Marauder. That's going to stop it unless we draw removal, which is possible. That is not removal. Well. Still get 1 trigger off of the Marauder and then Desperate Rescue. Bring it back to our hand, recast it. Unless we hit something we want to play instead. It's maybe a little greedy, but I'm going to see what we hit. Easterling Vanguard. I can play the Vanguard and the Desperate Rescue and then just not play the Marauder right now. I think that's fine. Yeah, this is decent value. Make our army the Ring Bearer, then I could drop Moria Marauder and guaranteed hit them with it. For a card draw engine. Play things out a little slowly if I do that instead of just going 5 drop, 6 drop, 7 drop, but it could be worth the card draw. Foray of Orcs. Never mind, there goes the army. Okay. Battle-Scarred Goblin is the draw. Could play that and a Moria Marauder, but I don't think I want to. Vanguard's an okay attacker, doesn't help too much on blocks. Send it in for 2. Here's the War Beast. Might cycle the Troll next turn if I don't naturally hit land 6. Just to get closer to the Balrog, but if I naturally hit land 6, being able to drop the Troll and then drop the Balrog is pretty busted. Just super massive cards. Okay. Didn't draw the land, so I think I do want to cycle the Troll. I'll still have access to 5 mana this turn, which is what I would have with or without cycling it. That'll let me play Berserker and Moria Marauder here. Or Berserker and Goblin, either of which is fine. I'm gonna play the Berserker pre-combat to make our 2-1 the Ring Bearer so we can hit them with everything. We also get to draw a card, discard a card to help try to find land 7 for the Balrog to come down next turn and hit them for a bunch. Smite the Deathless. Well, goodbye, Vanguard, then. Do hit for 5, putting them to 12. But I don't draw a card, discard a card anymore. You have an Orc on board. An Orc and a double striker. Is that better than getting the Goblin down? And their Orc Army is going to be a 5/5, so this isn't going to get past it. This isn't going to get past it either, but... Get a Ring Bearer or something. I could draw more cards, maybe. I'll just go for the Moria Marauder. Voracious Fellbeast. That's horrible for me. Could still maybe find like a 2-turn kill with the Balrog. Probably just get rid of the Marauder. Take 7 or trade into the... I can't because it's the Ring Bearer. Alright, no blocks. Down to 8. If they don't block the Balrog, well, they can't block the Balrog. If they don't trade into the Warbeast of Gorgoroth, then they die. And if they trade into the Warbeast, then we get a blocker. We get a 2/2 army as a blocker. They have 7 power on the board here, but it's going to be Menace next turn. I think we just die to the Menace. We can kill the Fellbeast, but then we die to Menace. If they have any removal, we die to Menace. So we do this, and then if they don't have removal, they have to chump Warbeast, and then we can double block the Orc Army and not die. But that's all we've got here. Alright, no removal, fingers crossed. Double block an Orc Army. And then kill them? No! Alright. I mean, we couldn't have killed them on the crackback even if they didn't have removal, because they would just not attack with the Nazgul, but I think we'd be in a winning position if they didn't have removal. Because then the Nazgul trades with Balrog, so we destroy the Nazgul and we destroy their Orc Army, and then we try to win the game with our other creatures. Or Battle-Scarred Goblin, whatever we top deck. Maybe not the winning position, but a very, very close one there. Dang. Yeah. Incredibly close game of Magic. We are going to be 4-3 to end off this draft. Solid run. We get all of our gems back pretty much. 1,400. Oh, we're 5-3. I forgot about the 5th win. All right, we're good. Whatever. Not a bummer at all. We get more gems than we paid. Forget everything I ever said. Deck was fun. Deck was good. Forgot to go into the deck overview, but it happens. It happens sometimes. I got too excited when I saw that we actually had a 5th win, and my short-term memory was just being mean. Okay. 1,600 gems out of the 1,500 gem event. We get to keep all our cards. We get 4 extra packs. Happy with that. It was a pretty fun deck. The mana was kind of whack. I did not love the Moria Marauders. I got to play them one time. They were decent the one time we played them, but we also still lost the game where we actually played the Moria Marauders. So I don't know if the double red 2-drop is worth it, or if I just got super, super hosed on my draws. But they certainly feel like they hurt us more than they helped us today with the way that our draws lined up. So Moria Marauders for the biggest underperformer. What about the biggest overperformer? I don't know. Everything that I already thought was kind of sweet was kind of sweet. I don't know if there was a huge overperformer. But there you go. There's a little bit of a deck overview at the end. Moria Marauders, #1 underperformer, because we drew them several times with bad mana for them and only actually even got to like cast them once, and they didn't even do too much that game. So all right, that is going to end today's draft, and that is going to end today's video. As always, I'd like to thank my patrons very much for supporting this channel, and thank you for watching. If you're interested in seeing more videos like this, you can always like, comment, and subscribe to tell the YouTube algorithm to send you some more in your recommended feed. If you'd like to catch me live, you can check out the Twitch channel in the link in the description below. And if you'd like to support the channel directly, you can check out the Patreon link in the description below. Other than that, as always, thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you again soon for some more Magic Arena.